by the people that were around. And I feel like there's an organic vibe to what happened, a very natural, the stars aligned and these people got involved and it happened. So now if they make it, it's like, are they trying to recreate the vibe of something they created organically? Like lightning in a bottle twice? It's just, it's gotta be, like, when I keep bringing up this movie and I'm not even that big of a fan of it, but Boondock Saints everyone loved, but then the sequel came out and everyone's like, ooh. It's just, it's very hard to recreate a cult classic. Some movies do it, but it's very hard to capture that magic. I mean, why not try? But
yeah, I mean, worse things have been shot. I'll say that.
I mean, if some of these movies can get 1 point, if some of these films going around today is like get wide, like they sell overseas rights and they're on every red box and they go to Hulu or Netflix. If these movies can get 8 million, I don't see why you can't just be like, all right, Slava, you get 1.5, you get 2 million, make it happen. So it'd be interesting to see. But the times have changed, and even Slava was saying, he's like, I miss old New York. He's like, it was dangerous and it was dirty, but I love that vibe. So it's gonna be interesting to see what he kind of does.
I don't know. I would be on board to see a Liquid Sky 2. I hope it does happen. There was a book that was written about this movie.
Yeah, she wrote it, correct?
She did. She wrote it. I tried to order it, but I couldn't get a hold of it. And she told me that it's written from Margaret's point of view, that she kind of dumbed the character down a little bit. And she just said that everything is written from the Margaret character.
Hey.
And I was like, oh, well, that would be an interesting read. She said it's very much like the movie, but it's not. She said that there's not really anything that she changed. So I would definitely be interested in reading it. You can get it on Amazon right now.
How bad was that slam, though, at the end when Jimmy looks at her? He's like, you look tired and ugly.
Oh, man, he is such a little jerk. He's like, they all call you chicken legs behind your back. It's like, shut up, Jimmy.
Doesn't Owen say to her, like, you got the best legs to stand on? It's like, oh, Owen.
Yeah, he's obviously a sweetheart, and he's trying to at least make her feel better about herself.
I think he's bagging on her friend. But see, he's like bagging on her friends. And then eventually Anne in real life left that kind of lifestyle.
She did.
You just don't want to hear that when you're in that lifestyle, I guess.
Yeah.
Like me.
Well, nobody likes to hear anything bad about themselves, but, I guess even at the time, if that's your profession, if somebody was to say that about you, it's like, come on, man. But, no, after making this movie, Anne went on to do a little bit more acting, but then she became a therapeutic artist.
Hey.
Yeah. She did a lot of paintings and a lot of art, sculpting and whatnot. She sells her stuff online currently. It's beautiful stuff if you want to check it out.
And what do you think about the knife fight between Adrian and Margaret?
I think the knife fight in West Side Story was a little bit deadlier. But I was like, come on, man. Like,
but you just thought, like, Margaret overpowered Adrian, though. Margaret went beast mode on her.
She's got a good foot of height on her. I mean, shit.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it'd be very hard for her to just be like, give me that knife. Just like shove her to the side.
Adrian.
Yeah, she's a jerk. She only did 2 movies and then that was it. I guess I tried to get in contact with her. She doesn't seem interested at all. Like a lot of interviews that I've read, they try to get a hold of Paula Shepherd, and she's just not interested in talking about her film career. She did 2 movies and then that was it.
Well, I mean, if she's I guess there's a couple things. She's probably the nicest person in the world, and this character is so reprehensible.
Yes,
that probably gets old after a while. And
that was a reoccurring theme that was brought up, that Paula was definitely a very sweet person, and she is absolutely nothing like her character, Adrian.
So, like, you show this people this is one of those things maybe we get a little older and you're the character of Adrian. You're like, hey, you're in a movie called Liquid Sky. We should watch it. And you're like,
hey, you did Alice, Sweet Alice.
Yeah. So but I mean, it's not a knock on her performance. I mean, she's really able to portray a kind of vile person successfully, and she does a good job with it.
And how?
Yeah, and how? No, Chris Kelly, I appreciate you recommending this to me. Is there any final things you want to talk about before we get out of here? Any Chris Kelly recommendations?
There was a couple of things I wanted to add. That according to the commentary, it took about 3 to 4 hours of makeup from transforming Margaret into Jimmy. I felt that like pausing for half the day to then, well, not half the day, but for a couple hours of shooting. I mean, you could do pickup shots and whatnot, or inserts, or maybe get some B-roll in the meantime, but oof, that would have been pretty rough.
Coffee.
Geesh. Anne said that, shooting felt almost like 24 hours a day to her because they were shooting in her actual apartment. So people, when they were done for the day, she would just go to her bedroom and sleep. She'd wake up and then they put makeup on her. But, thinking about it, you're basically in this world. This is your world for several months. So that would be very taxing, I would think, on a human being. But she had great experiences filming this movie. She had nothing but positive things to say.
She moved out of that apartment after the shooting stopped.
I would imagine, yeah.
Yeah, so I read that, and she's like, well, from what I heard from Slava is that she wrote some really personal stuff into the screenplay, and she had to go to some really kind of dark places. And so having just to stay there again, I guess she just got out of there. She did not want to be in that place anymore. Because that's a rough mindset to be in for 3 months. Because she had to, it's a tough 3 months for her. She had to play roles where she was slapped around, mistreated.
Raped.
Yeah, raped. I mean, it's just it's a tough.
One of the things that was interesting was the character of Vincent, who was played by Jack Adelist, was not an aggressive person in real life. And there's the scene where he has to overtake her. So Anne said that she bit him during rehearsals so that he would be more aggressive with her. Felt like it was okay for him to smack her around a little bit.
Wow.
So she said that that was one of the difficult things, was that people didn't want to do that because they didn't want to hit one another. So she's like, well, fine, I'll bite you. And then he's like, damn it. And then he smacks her.
That's a neat touch, because in that scene I'm assuming that's the Quaalude scene, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So he's definitely kind of womping on her a bit.
Yeah, he's not exactly throwing haymakers, but
for actors though. I mean, he's kind of womping a little bit.
There's some genuine good hits.
So this is kind of an interesting thing. The first time I watched this film, I read a review that really summed up my thoughts, and I think it was by Dread Central, I believe, and they talk about the first time you watch it, you don't know how to absorb it because there's no rhyme or reason. There's barely a 3-act structure. It's very off kilter. The music is invasive, so it's a very off-putting initial watch. But I guess once you get into the vibe of it, it's a much easier viewing. And I agree with that, because the first time I watched this, I'm like, what am I doing? Now, I appreciated the costuming and I appreciated the history of it, but it kind of kept me at arm's length. But now that I'm familiar with its beats, I think it's much more accessible.
Yeah, what's interesting that you say that, because Janet Maslin wrote in her review of this, High Fashion and a UFO, in 1983 said, make what you will of the moment, but it is not one that is easily forgotten.
Yeah, I mean, that's true.
Very, very, very much goes along the lines with what you just said.
Any got any more facts for me?
Yeah, actually I do. I'm not trying to drag this out too far, but it was the journalist who's interviewing Anne during the photo shoot is actually her sister.
Oh, nice.
What's interesting is because she's asking her about her childhood, and then she's like, well, my childhood. Slava says that he doesn't condone drug use at all, but he does believe that the actors should know what it's like to be on the drugs that they are interpreting on the screen. And Anne says in the commentary that she snorted heroin once just to see what it was like, and she hated it. And she says, she put it in the commentary, I acted like a complete fool, and I'll never do it again. That's the reason why she pulled that as inspiration for that scene at the end where she shoots heroin into her veins, and then she goes on the top of the rooftop. She's like, I'm coming. And she does that extremely haunting dance number.
Yeah.
I find that to be terrifying. It really haunted me for about a month, I'd say. I found it to be disturbing.
Yeah, you were a shell of a man for a while.
Just a couple of quick things I'd like to add. On IMDb, this gets a 6.1 rating. Rotten Tomatoes gives it a 95, and audience with 71%.
I mean, yeah, that's about right.
Yeah, I think it's fair. It's very much of the time, but it's a movie that I don't feel will go away. I think in another so many years, someone else will come up to this and go, oh my gosh, have you seen this movie Liquid Sky? Mm-hmm. If you do want to watch Liquid Sky, it's currently streaming on Shudder. It's on Amazon Prime as well. And it's also for rent at Videodrome. They have the Vinegar Syndrome version.
Hey now.
Yeah.
All right.
And now for my recommendations.
Chris Kelly's recommendations.
So,
what you got?
As I've said before, these recommendations, they're not directly related to the movie, but it's kind of like if you think of the movie as your main course, this is a complement to it. So my recommendation, I only have one, and it is a movie that is currently streaming on Shudder that came out in 2019 called Dogs Don't Wear Pants. I don't know if you saw this movie, Mark, but it is definitely a trip and a half.
No, I have not.
I forget what country it's from. It's from Finland. I'm sorry. It's from Finland, and it's about a guy who loses his wife in a drowning accident, and he's still very much in shell shock over this. So he tries to go out and connect and meet with other people. While he's doing this, he meets a dominatrix. His whole world is completely changed and turned upside down. He falls in love with her, and it's almost like, is the dominatrix in love with this man, or is she doing it for the money? It's very funny. It's extremely brutal, and it's weird, but it has that charm to it. It has a very similar charm like Liquid Sky has a charm to it. Oh, wow. So I felt like this was a good pair to it. Like I said, it's currently streaming on Shudder. It's not a horror film. It's more of it's like a drama and a romance, but there's a lot of funny scenes in it too. Stuff that you don't think you would ever laugh at. For instance, there's a scene where she pulls his tooth out, and it's like, why am I laughing at that? But it's funny, you know what I mean? I mean, when I saw it, I was like, oh my God, but then it's like, that was just kind of funny. But
there are some really great reviews. Like Kermode loves this movie. I mean, it's a really, really well reviewed film. And it's on Shudder right now?
Yes, it's currently on Shudder.
Nice. All right, sounds good.
I say check it out. If you like Liquid Sky, I believe you will like Dogs Don't Wear Pants.
Someone said it's a surprisingly joyful and darkly comic exploration of grief, trauma, and desire.
Yes, that's pretty accurate. It doesn't seem like it would go together, but it beautifully does.
I like movies, so that's why I kind of like movies by maybe like Lars von Trier, or there's the occasional kind of I Saw the Devil where they kind of blend some humor with very, very, very intense dark scenes. It's just I like movies that are able to walk a fine line of that.
I still haven't seen I Saw the Devil.
Oh, that'll punch you in the face.
I know, you keep telling me to watch it. I'm still prepping myself.
It'll throw you. Well, you know what? It's just a really chill film, man. You have never. Yeah, it's not bad at all, man. You're gonna watch it. It's like a nice G-rated movie.
Pour yourself a nice glass of wine, relax for the evening.
Yep. Super chill, man. Show it to the family. Brother.
Oh boy.
Any other movies, or was that it?
No, that was the only one I felt that could really pair well with this movie.
Well, that's a good rec, man. I like it. Good stuff, Chris Kelly. You brought it.
Thank you very much, man. I've been wanting to, but no, thank you, man.
All right, well, this was good, man. So for me, Mark Hoffmeyer, and for Chris, I'm ordering Shrimp Kelly. This is Movies, Films, and Flicks.